This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
Danilo's free, and it goes to Gibbs wide.
First time we've seen them attack them, and there's Brandon! Well, that's what I wanted to see Robinson do. Taylor one, he scores! And the City ground goes ballistic!
Here's Bob Williams. He's through here! And in the end, Forrest will say it doesn't matter how you play as long as you win it.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Red Side of the Trent, as we do, I'd imagine, a first of two pre-season roundups before the serious stuff gets underway on the 17th of August against league leaders AFC Bournemouth at the minute, because they're alphabetically top, I believe. So I'm joined today by regulars Adam Wicklow and Christian Brown. Enjoying what you can of the summer, guys?
Mate, the Olympics have started and it's already
The
chaos.
Olympics have
What was it?
yeah.
Argentina getting a goal disallowed 90 minutes after the game because of, I don't know, I can't remember what the reason was. Did they abandon the game or something?
Yeah,
I
was
don't know,
it
brilliant.
a group stage game, wasn't it?
Yeah. Someone
yeah,
pitch invaded
and-
or whatever, I don't know.
Yeah, France and Argentina are like at war at the minute, aren't they? Christian, what about you?
Yeah, good. So it's a bit weird now. The Euros have ended and Copa America
Yeah.
too. So it's sort of like that sort of void before the season starts. Sort of in that mode at the minute. Although the Olympics is a pretty nice.
Double
Way of
disappointment for you, wasn't it, with Colombia and England both?
Yeah, less than ideal.
Yeah.
Less
I
than
mean,
ideal.
what's the weather like down in Kent compared to up here? Because it's been very inconsistent, I'd say. In the East
It's
Midlands.
not too bad. I mean, today it is about, I don't know, 20. Yeah, high to 24 today.
Okay, well
So-
we've got 24 in Nottingham today as well. So
Is
yeah.
is this the part of the summer which is like equivalent to that awkward bit between Christmas and like New Year's, in it?
Well,
But
no
it's
one knows
just
what
really-
day it is.
But it just bloody lingers on for so long.
I'm still disappointed. I don't think we've had much good summer this year, but
Yeah, I
we'll
agree.
move-
I
we'll
agree with
swift-
that.
We'll
Yeah.
swiftly move on because I'm going on holiday at the start of September, so it'll be absolutely roasting that week. That'll be the week for you all. So basically, touching on the back of the last episode, what you two guys did, Nikola Milenkovic signed permanently. Which was obviously confirmed after the last episode. He's the second Serbian to play for us after a certain goalkeeper, Vladimir Stojkovic. Let's hope his Forest career goes better than his, aside from that Villa game, obviously. He did save the penalty for us, didn't he, one game, Stojkovic, I believe.
I think he did.
Got
Where
a
was
feeling it might have
Bojan-
been against Wigan, but I'm not sure.
Where was Bojan Jokic from? Was he not Serb?
Slovenia, I
Oh, right,
believe.
okay.
Yeah.
Sounds similar.
Yeah, that Eastern Europe, isn't it? So he's 26 years old. So you'd think, really, as a defender, he's pretty much about to come to his peak. Signed from Serie A side Fiorentina, in which he was the best defender in Italy in the air last season. So, I mean, with our issues inside the box, it's clear why we've signed him, because we can't defend set pieces. As we saw again the other night in pre-season. The fee was reported to be around £12 million. So on paper, Christian, it seems to be good business. What do you think?
Yeah, very happy with that. Very, very happy with that. I think the financials make a lot of sense for us. I think we've got a good player out of it. We've got a player that on paper ticks a lot of boxes, some of the issues that we have. So yeah, from that side of things, very, very good, very smart. Nice to see Forest operating in a sensible manner. Although, ask me that question again come the day after the transfer window when we signed Nicolas Pepe on a free for 300 grand a week or something stupid. But yeah.
I do get the sense that with obviously now his son going to Rio Ave, that them days might be over, but we'll see. The last day we'll kind of see, won't we? And what do you make of it, Adam, as well?
Yeah, it fills the gaps as you mentioned. The aerial thing is obviously a massive asset to us. The big 6'8" goalkeeper that may or may not play behind him might also help. So it seems like the recruitment team are identifying weaknesses that we had last season and filling them up with plenty of potential there to stop that. If we can like half that or whatever this current season and carry on with our open play defending, then we're on to a winner. Really, we should naturally progress then, hopefully.
Yeah, I think he's probably a long-term replacement for Willie Bolly, and I'd imagine probably after this season, Bolly, it might be a thank you for your service, but your time's kind of up, and we've obviously got this guy in. So fingers crossed, it'll be a good signing. It was a pretty decent fee. You wanted 12 million.
Yeah, nothing too outrageous.
Yeah, swapping Florence for Nottingham. So say no more. Moving on to someone who I'd imagine is going to be the captain this season, because he's been captain in pre-season, whereas Joe Worrell is, well, no one said he's not club captain in the press, but I'd imagine he's not. So you'd imagine Yates would probably be club captain, and with Vaughan Gibbs-White as his vice. It looks like Yates is signing a new deal. It was reported in The Athletic, a 4-year deal. So we're talking, if he was to see that deal out, pretty much testimonial kind of years at Forest, isn't he? Was it 2018 he made his first team debut? I can remember him scoring at Scunthorpe, I think pre-season under Karanka, which I think was 2018. So and that's not been confirmed as of yet by the club, but with them coming back from Spain yesterday, I probably imagine that's it's going to be sorted this week, isn't it, you'd think?
Can you imagine? Can you imagine the banter 11s playing in that game? Like the two teams playing in that testimonial would be literally comical.
Just a load of people who've made one appearances during Yates' Forest career.
Like Lika and Dimitri on the wings.
Yeah, Fuentes at left back. I think he was a little tiny bit earlier, actually, wasn't he? So just thoughts on that, guys. I'll put my oven gloves on for this, with it being a hot subject. So start with you, Christian.
4 years is a long time, but I mean, fair enough. I guess he's proved that he deserves a role as a squad player. I think that's fair enough. I just know that we all know what's going to happen the second any midfielder has a molecule of a bad performance. We've already seen it with Anderson this summer. The guy got barely had a chance to settle in. I know I was pretty sceptical of his signing, but obviously now he's through the door. Now you've got to try and support the guy. Straight away, it's Anderson's making all these fouls. Why anyone saying that would do for Yates? It's grow up. But that's always going to happen with him. I mean, it's just a side show that no one really wants, but it's part and parcel. I mean, as for him actually signing the contract, I think he's shown that he benefits Forest. We're still yet to win the waypoint in the Premier League without him, which I find mystifying. I know obviously the Newcastle one is a little bit skewed. Bear in mind he came on with 20 minutes to go and we were 3-1 up. But by and large, he does seem to be a very important player on the road for us. And there are games where we do need Ryan Yates in midfields. It defies logic at times, and I'm sure the data nerds probably pull their hair out. But there are games where we genuinely need someone like Yates in midfield, and he does have an impact. So, yeah, good news. Obviously, no one else is going to come in for him realistically. So it's good that we keep him around, and yeah, I'm sure he'll have a part to play this season.
Yeah, I don't think Forest is going to let an academy prospect who's club captain and who's played, God, I mean, how many games has he played now? 250 odd, 300 maybe for Forest. Yeah. They're not going to kind of let him go on a free. I mean, that's what happened with Joe Worrell, and unfortunately, that's backfired for the club because we're now looking to get rid. But what do you make of it, Adam?
Yeah, he's clearly proved doubters wrong, myself probably included in that. He's improved every single season because you can't really deny that either. I mean, he scored a goal last season, which was nice. It was about time because he'd got into so many
as well, to be fair,
and just bleeding spooned it all the time, off the time. I think I'd like to think that if he doesn't, when he does play, he will improve again in terms of being a bit more progressive with the ball. I'd like him to be something that he's not, which is really hard. But I think if he's going to get more minutes, then he has to progress. But there's going to be games, as Christian says, where he's going to become really, really useful, especially with his off the ball assets. But yeah, no, happy for him. It's good to keep that kind of thing going with keeping academy players part of our squad and keeping that kind of Nottinghamshire part of it, because every club, I think, up and down the country does kind of cling on to that part of your football club. You always cling on to having that at least one player in your team that is from your city to represent. Yeah, I know he's from Lincoln, but he is pretty much, he's we've adopted him, haven't we, really? So yeah, no, it's good I'm pleased for him. Whether I think he should be club captain is a different issue, but I'd rather not bother with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, he is what he is, isn't he? He isn't going to change how he plays. He is what he is, isn't he? He's niggly. He'll win his fouls. You know, it's just a nuisance, isn't he? Really, as a midfielder. I mean, our different opinion on this pod to probably some others is that we see him as more of a squad player. Others see him as more of a starter. Whereas, you know, that's football. That is a game of opinions, and that's how it is. But yeah, well, I mean, to play for any club for, you know, going to be if he does see that 4 years out and it does happen for 10 years, yeah, hats off to him. So well done to Ryan on that. But we'll move on to we've had 4 friendlies so far. So we started off with a 3-0 win at Chesterfield. I mean, you'd imagine everybody beating Chesterfield, wouldn't you? But we'll move on. And then a 1-1 draw with Sunderland, a 2-1 win against Millwall, in which, you know, the first 60 minutes they couldn't get the ball off us, so they just started booting us, and then ended up with 4 yellow cards, which, yeah, there was a few spats on Twitter between us and them. And then slightly disappointing was that we lost 1-0 on Friday night to Elche, but yeah, it's one of them. So, I mean, I'm not sure how much of pre-season you guys have watched, but what you have watched, who's kind of impressed you so far, Christian?
Sangare is a big one, but again, I find pre-season chat quite not tedious. I don't mean it to sound harsh, but I just think people get very, very sucked into it. Like, if you lose a game, like someone silly, like certain people down the road who's in Chesterfield or Shrewsbury, it's a bit of a laugh in it, but it doesn't really determine how your season's going to go. Like, and vice versa with us. Like, yeah, okay, we've beaten Millwall, we've beaten Chesterfield, we've lost to Elche. Great. Like, you know, the main thing is about getting minutes into legs, seeing people sort of like, you know, bed into the system more, becoming more of a unit as a team, like on and off the field. And
trying different things.
Yeah, the manager getting his ideas across and trying new things that he wouldn't otherwise try in a league season. Obviously, we went for like a false 9 against Elche, for example, which I know obviously Cooper did quite a lot, especially in his first season in the Prem. But we've not seen that with Nuno, and it's highly unlikely we ever will. So, you know, I don't read too much into it. But I mean, Sangare's definitely looks sharp, which is very good to see. Something that we all thought the hopes would happen with a full pre-season. He, like, you know, really started to show us what he could do, and hopefully he can take that forward into the season, use it a bit of a springboard. But yeah, otherwise, you know, obviously Hudson-Odoi very good, as he always does. Gibbs White, as he always does, so he looks quite sharp. Yeah, I'd say the main pick for me really is Sangare, because obviously there's so much conjecture around him and so much chat. Even now, there's still links with Turkey with him and this, that, and the other, which I don't foresee personally. I'd be amazed if a Turkish club found the money that Forest, you know, forked out for him. But I generally do think he'll have a vital part to play this season. I know people aren't going to be very happy to hear that because it means someone else comes out of the team as a result. But I really do think that, no, hopefully this can be his sort of like, you know, this is the year that we see the Sangare that we signed from PSV. I'm genuinely like, I firmly believe that could happen. And with hopefully, you know, with a good pre-season, that can really become a reality.
Well, let's hope so. Adam, what about you?
I mean, just to add on to the Sangare thing, I think if he starts well and has a good season, I think Forest have a good season as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah,
just because if you start dominating the centre of the pitch more, then you're going to get more joy elsewhere.
We saw that at Newcastle, didn't we? We dominated the centre of the pitch, got it to the wings, and we caused loads of problems.
Yeah, so like you're going to get the ball to your key players a lot more who are going to hurt teams, and then hopefully Sangare will chip in with a few. I mean, we've seen some of the strikes he had at PSV, that one where he hit the ball like 80 miles per hour or whatever it was. I'd like to see one of those where he just rips the net off at some point and then just cups his ears to everyone. That'd be brilliant. A player that's kind of impressed me and a bit of a strange one. Maybe because we were all very unsure, and I'm sure this might be a topic of debate, Reese, is Eric Silva de Maria, or however you're going to say his name, because we was all a bit sceptical, like, oh yeah, the club have just done this, he's going to get shoved in our B team, but he's been very much part of the first team, playing at right back, right wing back, looked very athletic, over 6 foot at 18, so he's still got room to grow. In that sort of stuff, looks powerful. He's George Sirianos fingerprints all over it, really, in that aspect. And I think one thing that he will provide competition with Nico Williams for is delivery of the ball, because he looks like he will cross from deep and he will cross from the byline as well. And that is something that I think Nico really lacked in his 2 seasons with us. We thought he was going to provide that kind of part of his game where we get crosses in from right back or right wing back, and he's not been as strong as we'd like him to be. He's been better at defending last season, and I think he really improved under Nuno in that second half of the season. So it's good competition. I still do think Moreira will get kind of bled in very slowly if he's going to be part of our first team squad. But he's a good option to have because he can play in a number of positions, and I think that's what Nuno quite likes. He likes people that can play in a few different positions. But he's impressed me. I'm glad Omar Richards has had 90 minutes overall and scored a goal with his first touch. So that's good, and hopefully that kind of solves the left back issue a little bit, and maybe we don't have to prioritise that as much for the rest of the window. So yeah, it's promising. Lots of people look sharp. It's good.
Yeah, we've looked a lot. I think what's best to say about this preseason compared to last is we've just got that more of a core group, haven't we now? I mean, I look at last season and we was playing, as first team was playing the likes of Horvath. You know, I remember going to the PSV Eindhoven friend. I know you went to Frankfurt, Christian, and we just, there wasn't really any patterns of play. We just didn't look like what we were trying to do. Whereas this season, we just look a lot more fluent and we've got a lot more options. I mean, we're pretty much, I know the wingers we could do with 1 or 2 more, but we're in the centre of the park, for example, we're stacked. Strikers, obviously, something we probably need to improve on, but there's plenty more options. So,
who's impressed you, Reece?
Yeah, I mean, I'm same as Christian. I don't take too much of pre-season because you're doing stuff what you're not going to do in the Premier League in pre-season. You're trying this, you're trying that. It's like trial and error kind of thing. We'll have a go at this. We'll have a go at that. We're playing people together who are probably not going to play as a team next season, for example. And there's also playing players who you're clearly putting in the shop window. There's probably half a dozen of them who've been playing who are not going to be here come the end of August. Sangari's looked good, which is he looks a lot leaner, a lot fitter, a lot sharper, which is good. But again, we all know how quick the Premier League is. I'd like him to look good against the likes of Chesterfield, with no disrespect to them, etc. So hopefully, he can start the season well. Moreira, is someone who, like you said, Adam, which was a good shout from Antonio. He was the one who said he plays like a kind of full-back, wing-back, didn't he? I mean, a lot of people thought he might be coming in as a winger. Whether I'm not sure where his place in the squad will be, so that'll be interesting once the season starts. So it's just kind of a shame we haven't got any really minutes out of Tyro yet, and hopefully he can. I've seen somebody put on Twitter yesterday that apparently he's got a slight calf injury. Hopefully he can be. I know he had the personal problems as well, but hopefully he can get some minutes against Villarreal and then maybe a 90 against Olympiacos. But we'll have to see on that. But moving on to probably that opening day, which is some stuff we've seen in pre-season, so selections and formations. I mean, what kind of formation would you expect us to play on opening day, Christian, against Bournemouth?
I still think it'll be a 4 at the back. I think it'll be the 4-2-3-1 again. I don't think that. Yeah, I can't see him dropping a third midfielder, to be honest. I think it'll be Sangare, Anderson, and Gibbs White, of course, ahead of them. So I don't see any of those 3 being dropped to go for a 3-4-3 or anything like that. I think that's certainly how I'd be surprised if we didn't line up in that way. I know we've sort of been flitting between that and the 3 at the back, wing back formation. But I think then again, I don't know. I mean, he has been going for that sort of like 3-4-2 hasn't he? With sort of Gibbs White sort of a bit more space to sort of go out wide, if you like, and one other winger. But then I don't see him dropping Hudson-Odoi or Elanga. So I think the best way to play to your attacking strength is go 4-2-3-1. I think that's what he'll do.
Adam?
Yeah, I personally think that Nuno is trying certain formations due to like personnel and fitness and etc. and workloads. and then also trying scenarios where we might be in the season, like we might be without a striker at some point in the season if we don't buy one in. So I think like that's what he's kind of been trying. But yeah, 4-2-3-1 I think is our best formation with the personnel we've got, and I think Nuno knows that. So I think that's why he's probably not playing it as much, because he's probably thinking, well, I know what I'm getting out of that, so I don't really need to work on it as much. It's just that midfield conundrum he's got. Who does he pair Sangare with? Because I think for all of us, he's our central midfielder this season. That he needs the consistent game time, and the only way to do that is play him. So it's just who you put next to him. Do you put a Danilo, who's energetic and because he's left-sided, or do you put an Anderson because he's impressed and can drive with the ball and dribble? Or do you put Dominguez for his pressing, or Yates for his pressing and just being niggly? Though I think we established last season that Sangare and Yates together would be a bit counterproductive, I think. So it's going to be a very, very interesting. It's good headaches to have, definitely. Even at this early stage, it's good to have.
We'll probably go on.
Very quickly. Dominguez is also impressed with this preseason. He's very good.
I know, considering he looks like Eminem.
With Dominguez, if we was to play a 4-2-3-1, could you see, because he has been a couple of times, he has been out wide, hasn't he? Could you see that something that happens next season with also the options in centre mid?
It's a bit square peg round hole.
Maybe away from home, I'm thinking.
I know it works against United. Obviously, he scored against United, didn't he, from left wing? I don't know how I feel like if you're maybe playing a better side, then maybe like just to double up on like a wide threat or something like that. And obviously, you lose something going forward by doing that, so it's difficult. Possibly. I'm not overly sold by the idea of him being a left winger. It sort of worked at times last season, it didn't in others. And like when it doesn't work, naturally you go, well, that's not his position. He should be playing centre mid. So why isn't he, sort of thing? But I suppose it doesn't help. It doesn't hurt. Sorry, to have someone who can do a job there. But yeah, I wouldn't want him starting 5 games in a row on the left wing, for example.
Yeah, it'd be more on the right, wouldn't it? I think, because Hudson-Odoi, I don't think he's going to lose that left wing spot now. He's pretty much nailed that down, unless obviously his form goes off a cliff. We'll probably revisit this before the season starts in like his next pre-season roundup show. But I am going to put you both on the spot and say you've got a full complement of players. Everybody's fit for opening day. What's your formation, which you've both said 4-2-3-1. What team would you play against Bournemouth? So start you, Adam.
I'd keep Sells in goal. I don't think he's done anything wrong, and there's been nothing to warrant him losing that spot. So I keep Sells in goal. Nico Williams right back, Milenkovic, Murillo, Aina, Sangare, and Nilo central midfield. Morgan Gibbs White in front, Hudson-Odoi to the left, Delanga to the right, Chris Wood up top. That'd be my team.
Christian, any different to that?
If everyone was fit, I'd probably start with Taiwo, but which is maybe slightly controversial because obviously Wood did such a good job last season, but I do think that Awani is a better player all round. Midfield is a difficult one, isn't it? I mean, I don't think you sign £35 million player. Admittedly, there's PSI gymnastics involved, and it's basically
we'll chat about that in a bit.
Lacademus going the other way, but I don't think you sanction that without playing them. So I suspect it will be Anderson in midfield. But then again, I do think that Nathan touched upon this when we had him on last. That with Danilo, generally speaking, if he plays in midfield, we tend to do all right, especially if he plays well.
Yeah, every game every win under Nuno, he started Danilo.
Yeah, exactly.
I think there was half a dozen. I think it was.
So difficult ones. But yeah, I think a lot depends on fitness of Awani. A lot depends on the fitness of even Anderson, depending on how he's obviously. I know he's played after that kick and done double training sessions and stuff since, but obviously we know he's a bit injury prone from his time at Newcastle, so we'll have to wait and see on that one. But yeah, I would suspect Anderson starts. Sending in midfields, and realistically, I think it will be Woods up front. But yeah, if everyone was fit, I probably would go Taiwo.
Back 4, same as Adams. Well, back 5, including the goalkeeper.
Yeah, Williams, Milenkovic, Murillo, and Aina. I think it'll be back 4. Yeah,
Sells in goal. Yeah,
Sells in goal. Yeah, I agree with Adams. And nothing to warrant being dropped yet.
Okay.
I anticipate Miguel putting a lot of pressure on him and keeping him at a very high standard and playing in the cups and maybe getting some league games towards the end of the season if we're safe. but I don't see him being first choice from the get-go, no.
Okay. We'll touch on another keeper later on, but coming away from, well, on the pitch, I guess it's offhand on the pitch. After the last pod was released, we finally got his new home shirt with the stars integrated in it. I think, I think it's not quite a bespoke shirt, but also not kind of a template. It's kind of like Forrester, I can imagine, have been like to Adidas, we want a bespoke shirt, and Adidas say, well, you're not as big as the other clubs we've got in the Premier League. They all finished in the top 7 last season, so we'll kind of meet you in the middle. So first of all, I know obviously you're a fellow collector like me, Christian. What's your thoughts on the home shirt?
Yeah, I like it. I think it's very smart. I kind of agree with you. It's like that is sort of bespoke. Obviously, the goalkeeper kit isn't. So it's sort of like,
to be fair, they're the same for every club, aren't they?
Yeah, no, yeah. But it's sort of like they've gone, right, okay, we'll do you a little design for this, but this has to be the same as template because we can't be bothered to do anything more than that. So, but yeah, I quite like it. I think it looks sharp. I think it's a good kit. The stars thing is, I think that's quite subtle and quite good. Obviously, it's got a bit of symbolism to it as well. Yeah, it's a solid shirt. It's better than some of the other Adidas kits I've seen this season. Some of them have been a bit plain, so it's quite nice that we've actually got a bit of spice.
Yeah, I'll always say with Adidas and Nike, you always get, especially Nike, this is more. I've seen their Birmingham kits; they're so plain, but they always, because they've got a Nike or an Adidas logo on, and they always, people's perceptions are they look quite smart.
It's Spurs kit as well. It's always very pretty bland, really.
Yeah. So whether or not we'll have the sponsor on the front of the shirt is another matter. There's there was saying that Cayenne's not going to renew the UK license. I mean, I didn't even know they operated in the UK, having searched them on Google before, but we'll see come that. I'll do you, Adam, for the away / third kits, because I know you like a Rascal kind of alternate kit. So the away kit looks like it's going to be a kind of a checkered navy / grey, I think it is, with a pink trim. Have you seen the photo? Just before I asked you, what do you think? What do you think of that off the photo? I know it's not much to go on if that is going to be the case.
It looks all right. I think like once you get a sponsor, and depending on what you have, will make it a little bit. I don't know, kind of makes it stand out a bit more weirdly. I don't know why, but yeah, it's all right. I thought
the sponsor would have been better in pink.
I thought that's a bit strange, like because you've got a pink trim, like that makes no sense. Like, so you'd have pink surely you'd have pink numbers on the back as well. Like if you're going with that kind of theme, rather than white.
It probably will be white numbers on the back, won't it? So that may be.
Yeah, it's all right. I think. I don't know. I'm not really excited. I'm not excited about it, but I don't mind it. I think the third kit's always a Rascal kit. That's what.
Have you seen the rumored third kit with the?
I don't know. Probably.
So it's like blue here on your shoulders, arms, and then it's the thick light blue and white stripes.
Oh, is that what that might be?
Yeah, that's what the rumoured one is. I've actually seen someone wearing it off the H gate down the road from me, which.
And I'm not. I'm not sure if I'd be sold on that. Stripes has never been like my thing. Like, I just never been my thing. So it might be a home kit purchase.
Well, we had navy and pink the season we went up, and then we had blue and white, light blue stripes. I know there was wavy last season, but
the navy and pink I liked. I really liked.
It's a shame we kind of don't do some. Yeah, I'm surprised no one's ever had a go at redoing the colours from the '94 away. But I mean, what do you think, Christian, on these two rumoured kits?
I think they're all right. I mean, I prefer the Argentina style one to the navy and pink. But I kind of agree with it. It's weird actually. I think someone did like a sort of like a mock template based on the concept kit. Sorry, based on the 94-95. It actually looked like the 02-03 away kit. Like, you remember the one where we had the championship? Like when Darren Huckabee came in on loan.
Navy and green trim.
Yeah, it looks a bit like that. Obviously, a bit darker than navy, but so I guess you can kind of count that as something of an attempt. But yeah, you're right, and no one's really touched it since. So I think like it's a bit. I think what annoys me is that like you see some of the effort Adidas go with other teams, like even Leeds, for example, in the
Yeah.
Championship, I think for the last 2 years, and they've got like a bespoke third kit with like an old badge. They've got like a whole retro range, that sort of thing. Like
Yeah.
United obviously had a retro range. Like I just don't see like you just think small things like this could make the club so much more money in the long run. Like I know obviously like Adidas have their like elite kits and that sort of thing, but Forest just very feasibly goes to them and say, look, like we think there's a massive gap in the market here. There's surely mutual benefit for both of us if we do something like this. Like imagine if Forest did like, I don't know, let's say one of the Wrangler kits from like the 80s. They did a replica of that, just announced it like bang off the bat. And that's classic. Get the sponsor back on, as they have done for other kits like Cope or whatever else. And just said like the Arsenal kits, for example. They sell loads of Arsenal retro kits in the 90s.
Yeah, the
That would
banana
literally, there'd be a queue out the door for that. Like, but
I guess it all depends how much we kind of make off the kits, isn't it? I'm not sure how much we kind of make with obviously a team like Arsenal where they've got I know Forest have got supporters clubs all over the world, but Arsenal teams like them with that the big global support, they're probably going to sell them all over. You know what I mean?
I just think there should be a bit more appeal. Like, I remember when I went to Spurs away last season, and I know again we're talking about a Sky Six club, fair enough, but like you look in the club shop and it's like their retro range is so much better than ours, like so much better. It's just like you think like we are a Premier League club. I think we should maybe act like it a bit more at times. And I think on a commercial side we generally don't. I think that the kits are nice, fair enough. We don't get we get a semi-bespoke template if we're lucky. I just think there's so much more that could be done, like with Forest and Alas, and I felt the same last time we had them as well. Like,
well, that was
obviously we had, yeah, I know it's for whiles, of course, but I don't know. I just think that area is slightly lacking for Forest for some reason. I had them for quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to get some original stuff. I mean, a third kit with like the old badge with the stags on that, yeah, it would be pretty cool as like a one-off. You know what I mean? As you said, Leeds have got one with their old badge on, but
they're trying to sweeten the deal before all the Red Bull stuff starts kicking in.
Yeah, but I mean, they released that. Was it that training top? I think last year Adidas did for us a red and gold one, the gold with the red trim, I guess. So we'll see during the season, but kits just aren't as good as it was in the 90s, was it? That's just a fact, unfortunately. Moving on anyway to something we did hear this week from the club, which was, something that involves myself, which was the away membership. So so obviously we've had the 400 for the last 2 seasons on the back of the championship season. They then gathered the data over the last 2 seasons. The Premier have added another tier of 1,000. So I think if you've been to over 26 of the 38 Premier League away games, you get a window to purchase after the 400. If you'd not been that and you was an existing away member, then you'd go into kind of a ballot system. So I'm guessing it means no more queues on the back of that, I'd imagine, which is good. I mean, something I will commend the club for is that I think they only put a £5 or maybe £10 on the increase. I mean, they could have banged it.
I was expecting 100. To be honest.
A lot of people are expecting 100, so I will commend them on that. I know that the club don't make pretty much any money off away tickets, so yeah, fair play to them on that. I mean, what did you? I know you guys aren't away members, but what did you? So you can probably give more of a neutral view compared to me. So what did you make of it, Christian? Did you think the changes were good, or is there any other changes you'd kind of make if you was head of the ticket office?
I think it's. I do think it's a lot fairer. I think that once they opened Pandora's box and made it a closed shop, it's going to be very difficult to close it. But I do think that, I mean, the thing was, I mean, you only had to look at the timeline on a Wednesday morning last year and the year before, for that matter, really, and just see like the scrum of people, like some very happy they got through, some incredibly disappointed, and like you kind of felt for those who weren't maybe that technologically like literate. Is that the phrase? Because obviously they were just missing out every week and then like getting shafted and whatever else. So obviously, like let's say, for example, also some of these people would have been like part of the loyal bracket that would have been going in the championship for away members as well. But I weren't the 400, but still would be going to like say 10 away games a season, for example, in the champ. And let's say you were doing that and then weren't very good at a computer, and then suddenly like your loyalty gets basically kicks in the balls basically in the Premier League because you can't work a queue system. Which I did have a massive degree of sympathy for people like who are in that boat, and like I think the ballot system's a lot fairer. Obviously, like I know some people have been a bit confused by it and sort of saying that if we put 3 people in and we're going to be together, and like, oh, well, of course you are. I'm not going to give you like 3 different tickets starting around. Like, but I think that generally speaking, if you applied for all 19 tickets from a ballot system, you're likely to get to at least half of them. I would say on balance of probability. There might be some who are quite lucky who apply for all of them and get to say like 12 or 13, and some who are maybe a bit more unlucky and get to like 5 or 6. But I think generally speaking, if you apply for everyone, you get to at least 9. And I think that's a much fairer way. It's difficult otherwise because obviously I saw someone say that those who have obviously been elevated to the thousands, if you like, we've got the 400 and the 1,000 now, and some of them said that they're not necessarily being rewarded for their loyalty, they're being rewarded for their ability to work a computer, which I thought was a bit harsh. But again, I can kind of see why they would take that angle. But again, once they decided to turn 5,000 people into a scrum going for 3,000 tickets at best, this was always going to happen. It's going to be so difficult to reverse that. And obviously they've taken 500 off, fine, but until they get to a point where it really this all went wrong at the start. It should have stayed at 2,000s. It really should have stayed at 2,000. The rest of the thousands like left got the season ticket holders or whatever else, as it always has been done on loyalty. You've done the hard yards in Championship, you get a crack at going in the Premier League. If you haven't been going in Championship but you want to go away games, then try and go to the away games that people don't want to get to, for example, like Brighton in the midweek, if you can do so, or whatever else. Like that's always how it's been. It's always how it's worked. It shouldn't be any different because we're a Premier League side. So yeah, I think it's mitigating a mess that the club's making. I think it's a lot fairer for those who are away members now. But yeah, there's still going to be people disgruntled no matter what the club do. So
yeah, I mean, there's no system. There's not going to be one size fits all kind of. Is it? Whatever they do, it's not going to make somebody happy. I mean, yeah, I understand for like the older generation stuff, but I guess the flip side of that is, say if you was retired but can't work a computer, and they said, "Oh, come and queue up at the ground," they could just turn up because they've got they're off work and whatever. It doesn't annoy me, but I think obviously I know you mentioned the system, Christian, but the people who's like saying about the system and moaning about it, and let's be honest, the system has been crap the last 2 seasons, but it's the same system for everybody. It's not like somebody's getting one system where it's doing good for them and somebody else is getting a crap. It's been a crap system for everybody. I mean, yeah, there is, people who are more tech savvy have found ways around it and have found ways to do it better. I mean, the amount of times I've pulled up and sat in lay-bys and that when I'm meant to be working, trying to get around it and trying to get in a queue, it's ridiculous the time I've wasted. But it kind of, like I said, not everybody's going to be happy about it. But I'm good. I'm biased because I'm like in that thousand now. But I felt hard done by to miss out on the 400. But that's another story. I mean, what do you think about it, Adam?
I don't think I can add too much more to what you and Christian have kind of touched upon. I think it's pretty much you're kind of doomed if you do and doomed if you don't.
Getting rid of the queue is a massive step forward. I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
I think
said, the stress people had from that and the time as well.
Yeah, I think like I'm not getting confused. There still is a 400, then there's 1,000, so that's 1,400 tickets.
Yeah.
400. That's 1,600 tickets for the last like 3,400 people or whatever it's going to be to kind of battle it out.
You've got to kind of add your sponsor/player tickets onto that, which is 400, I believe.
I think like you say, the ballot's the fairest way. Like, put yourself in the ballot, then you don't have to faff about like setting alarms and all this sort of stuff. It's just get an email. You've been successful. Here's a link to buy a ticket. Like, there you go. Like, I think that is a fairer way of doing it. The other way would be like, I don't know, a mass penalty shootout or something, maybe.
On a city ground pitch, yeah.
Yeah.
Get me in the ballot.
In front of the Trent end or something. Like, put Matt Turner in goal so it's fair for everyone.
We'll have too many punters then for tickets.
I don't think there's anything to really add. I mean, like I'm not a season ticket holder, and I had the chance to go in the ballot to upgrade my membership to the top tier, and I missed out, unfortunately. Two of my friends luckily got through, but like I'm quite lucky that last season I still managed to go to a pretty good number of games at home anyway, and I was quite satisfied with that because the price increased anyway, so I could like get to games that I wanted to go to and pick and choose, and I was quite lucky. So it's fine. Like for me, I get it. Everyone's gonna like what Christian said. No one's gonna be happy. They're always gonna disappoint someone. It's a bit like this podcast. We're always gonna annoy someone. We're always gonna make someone happy. It's just the way of the world. It is what it is, as Billy Davis would say.
Yeah, I guess one of the positives is when we did come up from the Championship to the Premier League, I know they increased the numbers, but at least every one of them members was a season ticket holder. It's not like someone's come off the street and managed to blag one in, you know what I mean? There might have been, out of them, what was it, an additional 2,500. There might have been a season ticket holder who's not been arsed about going to away games until we got up, but at least a kind of a season ticket holder. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes next season. I'm sure there'll be some people who are like, I never got an email to get in the ballot. And
I think the only other way would be like if you were successful in the ballot, like maybe they like kind of leave you out of the next game, and the people who didn't get in got one, but that would be unfair because that's the whole point of a ballot, isn't it?
Yeah, the problem is as well. You this is just natural. Unfortunately, you're going to get more people applying for the likes of Liverpool than you are for Brighton. And it's not fair to say to somebody, oh, you've applied for all the games this season, but we're going to send you to Brighton because this bloke over here has only applied for one game, and the only game he's applied for is Liverpool away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like I said, you're not going to please everybody. It's about as pleasing as many people as you can, and I'm guessing they'd please another 1,000, aren't they? Because now they've got that window. So,
100%.
Yeah, we'll move on. Go on, Christian.
I think what I can see happening is, and this will probably come in for renewals next year, I can fully see some people doing exactly what you said. They'll apply for Arsenal, Liverpool, United, Chelsea, City, Spurs, probably just those six, maybe Leicester, I guess, if they live in local.
Yeah, Leicester, true, yeah.
Yeah, they'll probably apply for those 7 if you like, probably get none, and then be like, oh, I didn't get anything. It's like, well, what about the other like 12 away games you could have tried to go to and didn't? Like, again, like this isn't I get obviously going to football is like, you know, it's convenience isn't the right word, but it's you know, it's a privilege to be able to go to these things. And I get obviously you might not be able to pick and choose which away games you want to go to, but ultimately your support and loyalty to the football club should be unconditional. So if it's a case, if you can get 3 away tickets in a ballot and it's say, I don't know, Brighton,
Southampton, Bournemouth.
Well, if you do want to go away so much,
yeah,
you know, if you do want to go away so much, sometimes you have to put yourself out.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. You know, and that's always been the case. Like, you know, even in the Championship, for example, like it always made me laugh at that first game back. Like, you know, after COVID, like Coventry went on sale to me as a member back in the day. Like, and then like, you know. So come the end of the season, like a goal dust, you can't. No one can get a ticket. Like it's
success,
exactly. Like it can't. But so I don't know. I just think like if you want to get on the ladder, you've got to put the yards in, and I think that's always been the case. You can never, even when we were crap, you can never just ring up and go, "Oh, I want a ticket to Derby away" or anything like that, and just walk in. Like so, you know, you had to sort of build up some sort of like loyalty points beforehand before you could even qualify to get a Derby ticket back in the day. So like. Yeah, I think that it's, as you said, it's about pleasing as many people as possible. I think it's a nice touch that those who have been going to more games have had their loyalty rewarded. That's ultimately, you know, that's very important. I think it's fairer for other people to get to games as well. It might not be pick and choose that they like, but they'll still have the option to watch Forest on the road, and that's, you know, that's a very privileged position to be in. So I think, yeah, on a balance, taking every consideration, I think they have done what's right given the mess they made to begin with.
Right, we'll move on then to some kind of transfer links / rumours / people going. We'll start with the Paraguayan winger. It's Atletico Teleraz Cordoba, I believe he's from.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nathan, if you are listening, if I butchered that. They're from Argentina. So Ramon Sousa. I mean, it kind of looked like it was happening, then it wasn't happening, and we kind of don't know what's happening. At the minute, I'd say it's probably not happening, but we'll have to kind of see. I mean, Nathan, obviously friend of the pod, the South American football expert, he put, what I will say is Forest are clearing what they want. Once again, they have identified a winger that can only drive them up the pitch, but chip in with goals and assists. He thrives in transitions, technically gifted, good in tight areas, perhaps overlooked by many due to being 24, but, still a great age, as you sound soccer. Yeah, that's the glory days. He did go on to say that he was on his one-to-watch list at Copa America, and he also said he's kind of capable of Europa League standard as well. I mean, what's your kind of thoughts on that link? I mean, it looked like it was close to agreeing a fee. There was some reports we had agreed a fee. Then I seen Sousa put an Instagram post up last night with a sad face, because I know he'd want to really obviously ply his trade in the Premier League, as I'm sure most South Americans do. What do you think it will happen, guys, or do you think that one's kind of dead in the water now?
I think with him kicking up a fuss, you could or he could almost drive that his need or want of wanting that move, because I know I think Botafogo come in and offered the money that Tavares want, but if he's got his heart set on a move to Europe and it's a chance to come to the Premier League, and he really wants that, he might go, I'm not going to Botafogo, I want to go Forest, they're interested in me, that's something I've got my heart set on. And at the end of the day, as a football club, you do not want an unhappy player, because what does that achieve? It's bad for everyone involved. And I've seen another report that Forest have come back and said, we'll give you a tiny little bit more. I thought we would have gone a bit more stubborn and said, well, no, this is our offer, this is what we think he's valued at, and to take it or leave it kind of situation, and we can leave you with this ticking bomb in your squad if that's what you want to do, sort of thing, and kind of just play the waiting game. Because I wouldn't, for me, the whole fact that he's 24 and he's not moved already is obviously going to be the alarm bells for everyone, and the red flags that why are we buying a kid who's 24, about to turn 25, may I add, very, very soon. Why are we buying someone at this age from South America, a league where you do get a lot of rough gems come from there, but normally they move at 18, 19, 20 at the most. Obviously, Murillo's a different case, 21, and Miguel, Goalkeeper's a bit different. Yeah. So I think that's what people are going to kind of raise their eyebrows at. But if maybe he's just been a bit of a late bloomer, and he looks good on YouTube, but everyone looks good on YouTube.
Oh yeah, you're not going to put everyone's bad clips on YouTube, are you? So.
No, but he looks like he offers competition. I'm not gonna say that I know anything about him, because I'd be lying. So, but from looking at it, looks like he's got a few attributes that are very Forest these days in terms of being quick and running with the ball. So that would be a good thing. It's just whether we're willing to pay that kind of price, which is what I would kind of be reserved about, because I think we could spend that money on elsewhere, but we'll see.
I mean, do you think, Christian, maybe South American clubs will look at, especially Murillo as the main one, and also Danilo, I'd say to a degree. I think he's been pretty successful since coming to Forest. Do you think they'll look at them and think, we can maybe start to put a premium on our players because Forest can develop them? They're a club who develop these type of players, and then I don't know, maybe a sell-on clause in there, etc. What do you think?
Yeah, possibly. I think it's Tavares, by the way. I might be wrong. I think the double L is a Y, but I pronounce the Y. But again, if I'm wrong, sorry, Nathan. But I'm pretty sure it's Tavares.
Some club from Argentina.
You should know, Christian. You're
that's why I said I think it's Tavares. But I think there's maybe an element of that. I think it doesn't help that it seems like every Brazilian team's offered what they want anyway. But I think from the player side, I think he's probably thinking of, I'd say 25 is probably the last chance saloon really to get a move to Europe. I don't necessarily buy logic. I mean, there might be a 23-year-old, for example, that you nab up and no one bats an eyelid at because they're only 23. I think 24, 25 is probably, you're approaching that sort of line. Anything beyond that is probably maybe not. So, especially for money anyway, maybe they're free, but they wouldn't take the risk, send 10, 15 million pounds that way, for example. So I see it from the player's point of view. I think there's 4 days left for this clause or something like that to be a hit. I don't know. I think that it's probably likely it does happen, but I wouldn't ever say for certain. I think that there maybe is a bit of gamesmanship going on as well. I don't think it's helped that Brazilian teams come in and says, here's the offer, because then, it's very rare that clubs, and obviously we did it with United, with Roy Keane. Obviously they came over Liverpool and Blackburn, and he ended up going to Man United instead. It's quite rare that happens, but
Someone's listening to Stick to Football.
no, I've it's in his
Yeah.
book. To be fair, it's in Keane's
Is there?
book.
I've
Yeah.
literally listened to that. Just listened to that episode a few weeks ago, and he mentioned that. And the Kenny Dalglish story was funny, where he was like, "How dare anyone do this to Kenny Dalglish?"
Yeah. He referenced in his first. Obviously, he's got 2 books, Keno, but in his first one, he mentions that the whole sort of tirade down the phone from Dalglish is quite funny. And fair to say that Keane picked the right horse in the end. But yeah, but equally, I suppose the player ultimately in this day and age has probably more sway than we realise. As we all know, for well, the player generally kicks fast, they tend to get their way. So it's not like before where it's sort of told like, all right, you're in the reserves for 3 months, see you later. Like now it's very much like player welfare and things like that. So,
Martin Keown's classic.
Yeah. So I do think that he'll probably likely push for it, and that there'll probably be an agreement. I wouldn't be surprised if we went to $17.5 million, which is about £50 million. Sign-on clause, and that'll be that, and they'll be happy. The player will be happy, and Forest haven't gone too wild. I think, generally speaking, we've tended to sign around the 15 million mark, bar the odd exception like Sangare and Gibbs White, for example. So yeah, I think that would probably fit into the club structure, and yeah, everyone happy.
I'll stick with you, Christian, and someone who looks like he's going to be leaving the club to go to LA, which is not a bad move, is it? It's Lewis O'Brien. What do you make of that?
Yeah, good move for him. I think that obviously it was Burnley and Sheffield United were in for him. I can't possibly think why he'd want to go to Los Angeles
Burnley or
Burnley.
LA.
But I think, to be honest, I think he obviously had a very good run in the MLS last time he was around there. I think that I kind of actually get the move. I know he's a bit young; he's only 25, but he hasn't been the same player for me personally since he got that illness in his first season with Forest. He obviously played like very well at the start. Then he came out of the team, and when he came back, he just looked light. He looked frail. He didn't quite look the same player. He wasn't as energetic as he was before. He looked like he needed a loan, frankly. And then obviously we had the whole debacle with Blackburn. He ended up going to DC United, and then obviously last season at Borough, broke his leg at Borough, of course. So I think he just needs a fresh start. Maybe if you don't know your country, you're fine. Obviously have Hugo Lloris, the teammate's pretty cool. Play against Messi's gonna be pretty cool. Obviously, Surridge is over there as well. So whenever they play Nashville, we'll have a little bit of catch up with somebody who knows. I think it's a good opportunity. I think as well, like even from a lifestyle perspective, he's what, 25, 26?
Yeah, I think he's just got married as well. I've seen on Instagram this summer.
Yeah, like to be living in California for a few years. Like there are worse places to live.
It's a nice sell to your wife, isn't it? Oh, we're going to move to LA rather than Burnley.
Like, we'll see him on Selling Sunset, like buying his mansion in a couple of years. He's like MLS Player of the Year or something. But no, I wish him all the best. I think it's a real shame it didn't quite work out from at Forest. I thought there's definitely a player in there. I hope he can unlock that. I was talking to a friend of the pod, Elliot, on Twitter recently, and he was saying like, I still remember when Mangala and O'Brien like dominated midfields and when they first started. Exactly. So he's got the ability in him. I just hope that maybe a not less competitive league, I suppose, but I don't think the MLS is quite Championship standard just yet. So I think he can really be like a big fish in a smaller pond over there, maybe. So yeah, I wish him all the best. I really hope he kicks on. And I saw this. I think there's an option to buy for $5 million as well if he does well, which I think is pretty good business for Forest too. Yeah. So again, it could be a win for all parties if he goes over there and shows what he's capable of.
Well, I mean, we've seen it with Joe Lolly, didn't we? I know he had, was it Championship and League One clubs maybe offering him, and he decided to go to Sydney, which is not a bad lifestyle, isn't it?
He's absolutely ripping it up in Sydney.
Exactly.
He's like the Joe Lolly of old. He just
loads of our
scores
over there.
Unbelievable.
I think Clough's over there. Zach Clough, and he's coming still over there. Maybe Jenkinson. God, like Sabri's.
Sabri's B team over in Plus Wally.
Just a couple of more links, then. Because I know time is getting on. I know Lee was speaking to Graham Bailey, wanted a journalist, and he said that Sheffield United are very keen on Josh Bowler. I mean, you'd imagine that he's probably going to move to a Championship club for quite a nominal fee. I mean, he's not. I looked at his stats for Cardiff last season. He didn't really rip up any trees there. I think he was clearly brought one to if we went back down. Johnson was likely to leave, and he was going to become as right winger. But unfortunately, we've kind of moved on. Lee did also mention that apparently West Ham had a bid rejected for Nico Williams, in which Forest said no, he's not for sale. So that's kind of drawing a line under that. I guess I know you mentioned Adam. Is he kind of better than what they've got? But they've sold Ben Johnson to Ipswich, and I'm not really a fan of Kufal. He's knocking on a bit, so I guess they can. Why that's probably links come up. I'll speak to you both on this link because it come out last night, and I'll say it's a loose link because it is from the Sun and Alan Nixon, but Aaron Ramsdale on loan for the season. Now Arsenal, which I did chuck at this, apparently wanted 50 million for him. I've no idea where they got that valuation from because he's nowhere near worth that. On loan for a season, so you're kind of looking at what we did with Henderson really in the first season, which alienated us other goalkeeper, which if we still had now would actually would have saved a lot of money. What do you think to it? I'll start with you, Adam.
I think on the surface of it, you look at it and go Aaron Ramsdale and get really excited about it because he's played for England and he's played for Arsenal and was really good. And I've been playing devil advocate in my other WhatsApp group in terms of like you're going to pay like roughly 6 million or so for his wages and bonuses or whatever, and then you're not going to keep him because he's going to cost you too much money to keep him permanent if that's what Arsenal's valuation of him. And then really you're just putting him in the shop window for Arsenal to benefit from rather than us. We get him for a year and he might do all right. My biggest concern for Aaron Ramsdale is they've replaced him with David Raya because of something that he can't do, which is come and command and catch a ball, basically. It was like really well documented that Raya was catching the ball more than any goalkeeper in the league, weirdly, or something like that. And we had an issue with defending set pieces last year. So if Ramsdale is not, if his biggest asset is not coming out to claim a ball and be commanding, then it kind of doesn't benefit us in that sense. He's a really good shot stopper and a very eccentric goalkeeper. Gets the crowd going and likes to wind people up. That is fantastic, great. But I don't know if that's kind of counterproductive to what our recruitment's been like in terms of bringing in Miguel. We've got Sells, who already is an experienced goalkeeper. So then, like, what does that show and kind of say to your goalkeepers if you bring in Ramsdale on loan? Because like Sells at an age where he wants to play every week. Miguel's come from Brazil and wants to kind of compete for that number one spot. In the short term, it looks really glamorous and brilliant, but on the long term, I think it's a little bit detrimental to us as a project. I just don't really see it being something that would be business savvy for me. I think if there's a view to permanent and you can sign it for like 15 to 20 million, then I'd probably consider it. No, they're not, but that I think that realistically, if that was the offer on the table for us, then I'd probably say yes. But his wages is astronomical. I can't see in a world where you should pay your biggest earner will be your goalkeeper. That would be literally the most bizarre thing to me ever, because I can't imagine anyone on in our team on 100 grand unless it's Gibbs White. So
Hudson-Odoi will be
and maybe Hudson-Odoi, yeah. So
Henderson and Navas would have been on big money, to be fair.
Yeah, well, Navas is like...
And Origi.
Oh, for goodness sake. Let's sign him. Let's just sign Ramsdale.
I get what you're saying, mate, but like, because people see like 100 grand a week, think, oh, bloody hell, because we've been out the Premier League for that long. I think Simon Jordan said this on TalkSport. The average Premier League wage now is 60 grand a week.
Yeah,
that's
crazy,
average.
It's crazy.
That's for like a bog standard Premier League player. The wages are out of control. This is why football has got financial problems, because the wages are...
Ryan Yates is not getting 60 grand a week for his 4-year deal, surely.
I'm telling you now, mate. I bet he isn't far off.
I bet you. I just trying to see it from...
I bet you they're offering him about 50 grand a week.
Fair play to him. I'm just trying to play it as devil's advocate in terms of like what you're doing with your project and your long term things. But Miguel's 25, and for me, he's going to be someone that is going to play in the cups and potentially push Sells in terms of first team games this season. Like we've bought a 6 foot goalkeeper because we're crap at defending set pieces, like, and a big 6'5" Serbian to head the ball away. So I think Ramsdale is. Don't know if he kind of fills that void for me, but he is a good goalkeeper, and I'd be excited if he comes and really fully supportive, because I bet he'd be a big fan favourite immediately with us.
I mean, what do you think of the link, Christian? Also, what do you think of what Adam's just said then? Do you agree or disagree?
I kind of see where Adam's coming from. I think that ultimately, I think this is quite. I don't mean to sound harsh to Adam here. This is quite funny in a sense, because I feel like if Ramsdale was to be sold to, say, Newcastle and be their first choice, I don't think people would bat an eyelids. And here we are, Forest in 17th, potentially turning our nose up at him. So
I'm turning my nose up at him.
I think the reason for that is because we've seen what happened in the first season. We had, I think most would say, a goalkeeper who's obviously then gone on to be a French international, would then spunked. Henderson, to be fair, if they stayed fit, I think would have been his number one still now. That would have been done. But obviously, he didn't stay fit. We then had a load of money on Keylor Navas, who come in. We brought Hennessy on a free, who then we realised actually he's not a number 2 because he's not quite good enough. Last season, we spent money on Matt Turner, who was, that was just a disaster. Vlachodimos was I know now we've got this FAP, but on the field was pretty much a disaster. We're then having to go in January when we're in a relegation battle to sign a new number 1 who was probably, I don't know,
8th
choice on the list. And you think, and then obviously, fans are saying, well, if we'd have just given Samba, a few more, bag of sand, we'd be sad. So I think that's the point of where we're coming from with it.
I suppose so. The question that I'll ask you then is: Ramsdale better than Sells?
Yes.
Is Ramsdale better than Miguel? Yes, because
we kind of don't know on that one, to be fair.
Is Ramsdale better than Turner? Of course he is.
Oh God.
So I agree. I don't think a goalkeeper is necessarily a priority position for us to target. But if we were to sign Ramsdale, I wouldn't be upset by it, because I think he improves what we have. So the one hand, I think the report says being looked to pay his wages. So that's $6 million a year. So we're basically paying £6 million on Aaron Ramsdale for 1 year, which is a lot of money. But so from that side of things, I kind of do. That's a bit sort of like, oh, should we not?
Yeah.
But in terms of improving the squad, of course he does. So, ultimately, I get what Adam's saying about wages not being dished out to keeper. Henderson was on £100,000 a week, and we had him at Forest on loan for the first 6 months. Navas, okay, PSG ate a load of his wages, which is quite nice of them. We still have been paying a pretty hefty chunk for that. So, he was in about 200 bags a week at PSG. So, ultimately, the goalkeeper is a difference between. It can be a difference between survival and not. The reason why Everton have stayed up for so long, despite flirting, is probably because of Pickford.
Yeah.
So
if 10 clean sheets last season, I think he can't.
To succeed in this league, you need a very, very good goalkeeper. Ramsdale is better than what we have. So from that side of things, I would not be at all upset if we signed them. On the other side of things,
from a longer term.
Because there's no chance of signing him realistically. So,
Arsenal that's the thing.
I don't know what Arsenal was smoking this season. They want 50 million from Nketiah, 50 million from Nketiah, 50 million for Ramsdale. They wanted 25 for Nelson before.
35 million for Smith Rowe as well, isn't it?
That at least makes some molecular sense.
Yeah,
I get that. The others are just like, what are you smoking? Like, is someone put crack in your tea or something? Like, that's no logical conclusion. But so I think that's where I'm at with it. I wouldn't be upset if we went into the first game after transfer window with Sells and Miguel as our goalkeeper. I would not be upset at all. I think that'd be very good, very safe pair of hands. You've got the whole hierarchy thing. It's good. You've got a younger goalkeeper coming through who can challenge. Good. If we had Ramsdale, Miguel, I imagine Sells would want to leave. Again, more than fine with that. Yeah. Personally, I know Percy said that we were going to sign 2 goalkeepers. I read that to be a third choice goalkeeper. I read that to be someone like, I don't know.
Like Hennessy was.
Yeah, like Hennessy was.
Forster.
Yeah, someone like John Ruddy, who just sit on the bench, third choice, get a tour of the Premier League grounds on like 20 grand a week. Nice life, go home.
Forest approach, Man City for Scott Carson.
Yeah. Or like some championship goalkeeper, that description, who...
Yeah.
Tom Heaton was another one, wasn't he? I think he's United's third choice, or Lee Grant, someone like that ilk.
Yeah.
Like, that's who I thought when I thought we signed 2 goalkeepers. I wasn't anticipating signing England's number 2. So we'll have to see. I mean, God
when
knows
you
if
put it
I-
like that as well, like England's number 2, you're like, oh God, they've
Yeah,
probably finished
and we're being
17th
snobby
that
about it.
season. Yeah,
So,
it's just because the only reason is we're being snobby about it in a way. I think we've been pretty balanced there. Is because like we had that issue the first season we come up, and we don't see it as kind of a longer term. Would
I
you?
do get
Would you?
that, but
I mean, Sells probably isn't going to be a longer term.
you think
Miguel's
it's
going to be a longer term, isn't he? Really?
Sales was our 8th
Um,
choice emergency goalkeeper
yeah,
signing.
yeah,
So,
What-
of course, Ramsdale's going to be an upgrade on him.
yeah.
I've got a question for you, Reese, and maybe Christian for a chime in. If we loaned Ramsdale and had like a really good season and come like I don't know, let's say like 10th, just to pluck it out of the air, and then Arsenal said, right, we'll give you first refusal for I don't know 30 million, and that's like our star signing of next summer. Would you potentially take that?
Given his age, I
How
wouldn't be
old is he,
against it. I think
Ramsdale?
like 26. I think
Yeah,
Ramsdale.
he's
I'm gonna have
young.
a quick look
He's still
now.
young.
I mean,
Like
for a
it,
goalkeeper.
I'm not
26, yeah.
I'm not snubbing the idea of having him. Like that's far away. I'm trying to just play devil's advocate in terms of like that long term thing. It's the football manager thing in me. And we've been stung by loans so much since we've come back up.
It's because we don't want at the end of say if they come in and I must emphasise this is a loose link at the minute. Say if they come in, played every game, and then at the end of the season, there's no chance of signing them, and then we've got 2 keepers in Sells and Miguel who just get the backs up and be like, I want to leave, and then we're kind of back at square one. Do you understand what I mean? I think that's the issue. But
I suppose
we'll
Miguel
go
would
on.
have come in knowing that it's going to be number 2 anyway, though.
No, I think he'd come in Miguel thinking he can get the number 1 person. If Sells
maybe by December, January time.
Yeah.
I don't see he won't. He won't be in the first game against Bournemouth. I'd be amazed if he is.
Yeah,
It'll
I
be
agree.
Ramsdale. we'll move on. So just a couple more bits, and then we're done. Then, so there was some more reports in regards to Elliot Anderson's fee, which, if you work it out, if you forget all the PSR and FFP kind of fugazi, it's gonna probably worked out that we signed him for 15 million. So I will put this question to just you, Christian, because I know you was a bit skeptical when we first signed him. Does that fill you with a bit more confidence, and also the fact that you've seen him in pre-season? What do you think?
15 million's about fair for his value, I'd say. I'd say he's not shown anything to be more than that. I mean, put it this way: when we got promoted, for example, Ghana went for 15, didn't he?
Yeah,
and like Ghana hadn't kicked a ball in the Premier League by that point. So bear in mind, Anderson's played 50 odd games for Newcastle, whatever else. I mean, fair enough. Again, have reservations that he hasn't scored for this supposedly attacking midfield threat. I think that his stats are slightly warped because obviously he's played in the wing at times, so of course he's going to look naturally more progressive than he might necessarily be. But on the face of it, 50 million, it makes much more sense. Yeah.
I think the positive as well is like with Newcastle, like when obviously the sold us Wood and Shelby, they were kind of Shelby, I think they was actually all right about, but they was kind of laughing at us when we'd signed Wood. At least he's getting a lot of rave reviews. I know he's from that way and he's enjoyed it, but at least he's kind of getting positive words from them mostly. Because we've had academy players in the past and people sign them, and it's like, look, they're probably not good enough, you know what I mean? At least he's getting some kind of positives from. And Eddie Howe said he didn't want to sell him. He was adamant he just didn't want to sell him. And to be honest,
How didn't want to sell Shelby, to be fair.
Yeah, so, But I think at least he'll see with Anderson, he's only 21. And to be fair, I think he's actually peed him off a little bit because he's then been linked with England. He's now like demanding, I need support, because obviously Amanda Staveley and her husband's left the club as well. So, sign that contract for England, Eddie. But just to wrap up then, last one, something we probably touched on a couple of podcasts ago was, there was a loose article, it would have been from Brazil. So it might have got lost in translation. Basically, Murillo kind of saying he wanted to move on, but he's had a bit of PR training, I think. And he did an interview with John Percy at the Telegraph, in which he said, I need regular game time and really feel that Forest is the best place for my career at the minute. Staying here for another season will enable me to mature as a player and eventually become better preferred if the chance ever comes to play at another level one day. Of course, I want to play eventually in the Champions League. When I was growing up, I'd play video games and play with all those teams. Whenever I hear that music before the game, it moves me, and it would be a dream to play in that competition. Yeah, playing that with us, Murillo.
Europa Conference League.
Yeah, Europa League. Yeah, Europa League music there anyway. But I've been focusing on my work here 100%, and I just want to do my best. Forest is a massive club in its own right, and I feel good here. You know, the reality is we kind of know any fan, who's level-headed knows we're kind of a stepping stone from South America. It's kind of that bounce into total wipeout, kind of them big balls. We're like that middle bit and then onto the Champions League. So all you can kind of ask from Murillo is obviously keeps giving us 100%, which he did last season, keeps playing well for us, and we're in a strong position. If he does have another good season and bigger teams come in for him, we can ask for top money. And I guess that's all you can really ask for, Adam. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%, mate. I think it's a sensible, mature kind of quote from him. Like you say, media trained a little bit more, and like you say, the translation thing. I think I think it definitely got lost in translation. Murillo seems quite happy to be around here. Like he's got his Brazilian mates. Like I don't think you ever see him like with anyone else. I'd like to see him mingle with a few more other people. But they all stick together. I get it.
Dominguez was on Miguel's back in the water polo scene.
I don't know if that was on Arena trying to basically encourage everyone to kill him because he's so big. It's good. I'm excited to see another year of Murillo's development. Hear the chant bellow out for 38 games of the season and annoy some people. That'd be great. And some more diags and halfway line goal attempts. I'm adamant he will score an absolute rubbish goal this season. Like he won't be an absolute screamer.
Yeah,
I led it up to say that I was going to be a screamer. He's going to score like a tap in. It's going to be really, really like underwhelming, but we'll still be happy.
Like Origi against Bristol City, we just hit him on the knee and you kind of claim it.
What I'd absolutely love is a Willy Bolly against Man United where it just hit him in the head.
Well, he's not got his head as big as Willy Bolly, unfortunately.
He hasn't. But yeah, no, I'm excited to see another year of Murillo. And like you say, if he has another good season, Forest have a good season, he gets that elusive Brazilian cap call up, then it's more money in our coffers, and we can reinvest that into the club, into the squad, and we look like a team. We become the Forest model rather than the Brighton model in that sense, hopefully. And we can progress as a football team as a whole.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if we kind of sat down with Murillo and agreed a new deal with a release clause in it. It wouldn't surprise me. Maybe, I don't know, around the 75 million mark.
If you say like, oh, we'll accept this offer from Champions League teams.
Yeah, from our perspective as a club, you've got to kind of protect yourself. We've got to maximise value, but also whereas you're giving the player some more money, because I can't imagine he's on being nowhere near the top earners.
No,
coming. So he gets a bit more financially benefits from it. So we'll kind of see on that. But
what I will say very quickly before we wrap up, I don't think he said anything different in that John Percy interview he said in the Brazilian interview.
Yeah,
I think that people that are backed up for it for no real reason.
I think what people probably would have seen was that he was kind of advocating someone to come in this summer, whereas he's kind of said in the next one, look, I'm happy I want to stay here for another season, develop. I think that's, but you know what it will be? He'll have, if he does have a good season again, next summer it will be, oh, actually, I want to move on. And then people will be like, give us one more season. And then
exactly.
Arrows on and on. Gareth Southgate for England manager gets us to a final. Oh, let's have another term. And at some point, it's got to be a cut-off, which obviously Gareth has done now. Bless him. But that's it then for this episode. Plenty to talk about. So we'll probably do another episode, I imagine, in a couple of weeks, probably the weekend before the Bournemouth game. I'm sure we'll have a preview as well, Adam, with a Bournemouth fan.
I've already lined it up.
You found one of the three of them, then, have you?
Yes.
Obviously, we've got Villarreal, which is only home friendly on Friday night, so it'd be good to be back at the City Ground. And then we've got a trip to Greece to face Olympiacos, and then that's probably after that game we'll do the episode, and then it will be a week away from opening day again. It's soon come round. So thank you for listening to this one. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, come on, you Reds.